Shall we see her? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Corinne.
Yes.
Oh, welcome with us. So far, but so near. Yes, we. Yeah, can hear you very well. Everybody can hear you in the venue. Can we show or a video or solo audio?
I can see.
You can. Ah, okay. Okay, thank you. Someone now, after my speech is gone, they did already, so sorry. Corinne, I would like to thank you and all the DG Culture for what you are doing for our sector. And I want to thank you even because we start in this venue 2 years ago to talk about project for Europe. And you was the first with whom we went in touch. So that means that you give to us a good luck. So to go ahead very quickly, because I know you're very busy, I would like to invite you to explain what is going on and what are the possible scenarios that the DG Cultura imagine for the next years. Thank you.
Grazie Vincenzo. Buongiorno a tutti. I will try to, for once, I will try to be short and simple and lucky guy. I'm not talking in French. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, perfect, perfect.
It's okay, because it's quite weird to talk to somebody who is invisible, you know? Yeah. So please show, from time to time, you can show that you are alive.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I will, I think that for the interpreters, I will read something quite slowly. Okay?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
With 1.17 million jobs across the EU, the music industry is the third biggest employer in the creative economy, ahead of cinema. It's a driver of economic activity and a pillar of cultural diversity in Europe. The sector has been heavily impacted by the digital shift, and it needs support to adapt, continue to produce European champions, and allow European creation to blossom in Europe and beyond. We have identified music as the cultural sector which would lend itself most to EU intervention, in line with the ongoing work on competitiveness of European cultural and creative sectors. What has been done so far? I would say what we have done so far. In last December, as you can remember, Vincenzo,
yes, of course,
we launched a consultation with the music industry. The objective was to get a better understanding of the sector's ecosystem and to identify the possibilities for action in the short and medium term. We organized a general meeting, let's say a plenary session meeting in December, then followed by 4 thematic workshops from March to May. Participants to these workshops and to this meeting included European and international organization of composers, songwriters and artists, major and independent labels, platforms, authors' rights association, festivals, music experts, radios, producers, etc., etc., and many other relevant players, including Assomusica. The main issues discussed were data and metadata in the digital landscape, the empowerment of music creators and the professionalization of the sector, the promotion of cultural diversity through the mobility of artists and the circulation of repertoire in Europe, and the support to music startups. These dialogue sessions were very fruitful for two reasons. It was the first time the sector gathered at EU level, and in spite of conflicting interests, it was most welcomed as a useful step forward, which would not have happened without our impulse.
Yes.
The discussion confirmed the added value of the EU intervention. We have gathered a wealth of concrete ideas in view of preparatory action as of next year, as well as for long-term policy work and support under Creative Europe after 2020. Why we decided to get hands dirty and to do all this work? There are plenty of reasons, but we have identified at least three of them. Music is more than a cultural sector. It is an industry that contributes to a wide range of other key EU objectives, and in particular, a big contributor to EU's overall economic and social objectives. It complies to the EU 2020 strategy, to the EU Juncker's priorities, jobs, growth, investment, digital single market, but also youth, education, social cohesion, regional and urban policy. Notably also because the music industry is a mix of large and small enterprises with SMEs and micro businesses prevailing. Anytime, anywhere, and any device and any content. This is the second reason. Music is more than an industry. It is an omnipresent art form which is part of everybody's daily life in different ways. The conception, production, and consumption of music, as you all know, have fundamentally changed with the digital age. Music is a crucial component of our daily life, universal and popular by nature, particularly among young people. It is also a key factor for strengthening cultural diversity and reaching out to new audiences, improving the quality of life, helping overcome differences and prejudices. Music consumption has changed, but consumers' appetite for music is as strong as ever. Last, there is a need, and this is the third reason, a need for an EU intervention to support Europe's key assets. I mean, creativity and cultural diversity in the music sector. The rapid transformation of the music market, hyped by the economic crisis, has hit hard the music industry. Evidence shows the need to mobilize the industry and policymakers to face the new challenges and explore the related new opportunities. Actions and policy initiatives at national level may prove neither sufficient nor suitable. How? What kind of instruments and tools we have at hand to work on this? We have an agenda to work at policy level, the European Agenda for Culture, which is the priorities of the work plan 2015 and 2018, We have an initiative, the Digital Single Market. As you all know, this initiative is an opportunity for Europe's music industry. Several actions are relevant for the music industry in this package, as we call it. The modernization of EU copyright rule, the remuneration of creators and artists, and the role of online intermediaries. And we have another instrument, and this is the program, the Creative Europe program, actually. But we can implement or put in place other instruments or other tools for a new strategy to support the music sector. We will, in the future, encourage the cooperation with other partners, other directorate generals, like the Directorate General for Regional Development, Research, Connect, and trade also, and medium, and sorry, I just have the acronym and I forgot the entire name. And we will reinforce the structured dialogue with the member states and civil society, and we will make sure that the guarantee facility instrument is helpful to the music sector.
Yes.
With this new strategy, on which topics we will be working on? 4 main topics: sharing the value, financing creation, developing audiences, and stimulating circulation and mobility. I won't explain what we understand through these main topics, but I'm sure that you are guessing it.
Thank you.
To conclude, because I know that you all want to get out of this meeting room to have some sun bath on the terrace. So I will say my final words now. Yeah. And I would say that we have already done a lot in a very short period of time, but there is still a lot to do in an even shorter period of time. And I am happy to tell you that we decided at EU level not to give up, and on the contrary, to engage further with the music industry. So I'm happy also to tell you that our initiative, our strategy has a name now.
Yeah.
Music Moves Europe.
That's great. It was our one.
And
no?
I invite you to meet them to know more about it, to know more about Music Moves Europe strategy and initiative.
We already are checking.
Meet at MIDEM.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? And you will, I'm sure that Massimo will circulate some information about the MIDEM, where we will present the conclusions of our work on this initiative.
So, thank you very
That's
much,
it
Corinne.
For me, Vincenzo.
No, it's... I want to say something more, Corinne. Hello?
That's it for me.
Okay, I have on my left side Prof. Michow. Maybe he wants to answer you something. No, for this time, not.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you that this meeting is happening here. That this one, okay, just yes. Aha. Corinne, thank you very much for what you told us, and the necessity to finally in the 21st century gather music round the table in Europe. I think it's really necessary. Music makes the world go around. Unfortunately, if we compare the music business with other branches, with other industrial and economical branches, we are very much behind to come 2016 with our problems to the EU. In fact, it's not quite true, because we started that already in the year 2000, when Europe 2000 was the first initiative in favor of creative industries. But it didn't work properly, and I think the impact which now this new, what do you say, music moves Europe initiative has, and the speed which it took on, I think we really can create a program in Brussels which fits the needs, which the former programs didn't do. And therefore, I think this initiative is on the right way. And of course, the initiative which has been initiated by Assomusica has many other aims, not just putting facts together for Creative Europe, but also taking care of all the other mutual issues which we have amongst Europe, like education, like a legal frame of our business, and so many other things, and also that we are learning about what is best practice and what can Germany benefit from the best practice of Italy, for example.
You want to answer, or you want to, Corinne?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. No,
Don't worry.
No, okay.
No, I just want to add a few things. You are right, Jens, saying that we started supporting the music sector when we started supporting some years ago the creative and cultural sectors, and the enterprises also, cultural enterprises. But I think that for the first time now, we are working on specific instruments or program which will be exclusively dedicated to the music industry. And this is what makes the difference.
No,
Not really.
I have to stop Yen, otherwise you go ahead for 2 hours, Corinne. You have to work
Yes.
in Brussels. No.
I'm quite late because I have a lot to do for the midterm rendezvous.
I know very well. So I would like to thank you from Assomusica, from all people present here, and I hope that we can present, after Ventotene Manifesto, we can present the Music Move Europe in Italy, as usual, in a best venue on the seaside. I promise you to organize very well the meeting. So think about this. We will talk in Cannes on the next month. Okay, thank you very much.
This is just a start, and a good start, I think, and we will have plenty of occasions and opportunities to discuss about all these interesting, challenging topics. And so, see you soon. Talk to you
to all the people working with you. It's very hard job, but finally we go ahead.
And
thank you.
I wish I were with you in Roma.
Okay. Ciao, Corinne.
Thank you. Buon lavoro. Arrivederci. A presto.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Okay. Mr. Ian. No, first. You are first.
I'm first, but I talked so much already.
Okay.
Okay.
Qui al tavolo ora.
Well, around the table we have many representatives of the European situation, starting by Jan Michow, who is really the president of the largest association for promoters and event business in Germany, but is one of the lawyers who is really very appreciated in the world of music because of his ability to advocate for the rights of the operators of the sector. We met just in September in Hamburg, and ever since we had a sort of strong empathy that goes beyond what happens regularly and goes beyond the normal business. So we have a common approach, I think. We have some empathy also on what we're doing personally. So I'm very happy to have Jens with us because of his historical, cultural heritage and knowledge of the culture. So you have the floor.
Fortunately, this is not black and white TV because I'm red now. I mean, thank you very, very much for this kind introduction. Yeah, I mean, it's very short that we met. It was at the Reeperbahn Festival in Hamburg, and since then, a couple of things happened. I mean, we met again in Brussels. We meet now here. We are talking frequently on the phone. And we find that, I said that already, that the initiative is great. The initiative is an Italian initiative, and everybody jumps on it and says, wonderful, we have to have this. And actually, as I said before, I mean, we are a branch which on the one side is on the peak of the entertainment market, of the national entertainment markets, at least in Germany it's like that, and I guess it's in Italy not different. The recorded music for ages headed the entertainment market, probably behind the book market, and that changed dramatically within the past 15, 20 years, and everybody knows why. We don't need to talk about that again, but as a matter of fact, the turnover of the recorded industry is now half of what live does, and live does more or less half, the double of what film and games does. So it has become an economical importance in all of our countries, which does not mean that recorded music has become unimportant, because we need definitely more than ever the tool of recorded music to establish that what makes us earn our money. This is the artist, and we shouldn't forget about that. That is not the promoter, the agent or the manager which makes our business grow. It's finally the author and it's the creator. And this is a situation where we just, on the other hand, have problems. I mean, we have not only in Germany, but all over Europe the problem that everybody wants to get his share from this business. And the promoters more and more have the opportunity that, I don't know whether I can translate that in English, but that they're treated as a golden pig who has a cash cow, might be the right word for that, yeah. A cash cow, where you can raise fees for author rights from 2% to 10%, and where we pay now for social security of every artist, whether he's covered by the social security fund, very special thing, or not. And all these problems cannot be solved only on a national level. They have to have international strings which fit together, and we have to really discuss what has to be changed, because if an Italian artist comes to Germany and the German promoter has to pay social security to the German social department for him being in Germany not covered, because he doesn't benefit from that at all, and he will not be covered, he doesn't have the right to be covered there, then of course on the one side the promoter says, finally, this is your expense because you are the artist and I have to pay it for you, so you have to reimburse this to me. And the Italian artist says, why the hell do I have to do this? I have nothing from it. I don't have any benefit. This is one small example for the problems we have, and there are many, many more. The secondary ticket marketing, where not only our association, but also my law firm is heavily involved in Germany for many, many acts from Britain, from all over the world, American acts. It started out 5 years ago where one of our board members said, "Oh, what's wrong with it?" I mean, if if I'm a train company and somebody buys all the tickets for the train from Hamburg to Berlin or from Roma to Venice or whatever, and they're all bought, then we just add another carrier, so we sell more tickets. This is how it started out. Now, even the promoters, everybody understood that it is completely different, that this market is like a disease which affects not only the artist, which doesn't affect, where people start to earn money with our business, with the business we are doing, and they don't do anything for it. And they sell these tickets to the audience, which thinks this is the right price for a ticket, but it's the double or triple price of the ticket which the artist and the promoter wanted, ticket price which the artist and the promoter wanted to have. So they spoil the market, they ruin the confidence of the audience in promoters and in artists, and that's why something has to happen. And actually, we went many ways, and we cut it down already a bit. On the other hand, if one company gets closed, another starts, and they don't start, if they sell tickets in Italy, they don't start in Italy. They start somewhere in wherever you can't sue them, which is a big problem, and they don't need much. They just need an access to internet, and we have that everywhere in the world. So as a matter of fact, this is one of the very, very vital problems we have to face now, and I think the personalization of tickets will be the way of the future. It sounds difficult, but it's not, and it's done with major concerts already, and there are ways to close this secondary ticketing market, and we have to get together on a European level. We also have to work there on the framework. We have to become easier access to these people if they are offering illegal things in the internet. You tell me when I should finish, okay? Because otherwise I go on until tomorrow with other subjects.
Until the dinner you can talk.
Okay. No. Here's so many experts who would want to tell other things. As a matter of fact, let me close with this. I think there are so many issues, even more issues than anybody can believe, which show how necessary it is that we get together, that we exchange best practices from every country, and that the other country learns how they can benefit from the better practice. Thank you for listening.
Grazie.
Thank you, Yen. Thank you for being here with us in the construction of this network at European level. Are we linked with Greg?
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How is everybody?
It's okay. Just a short presentation. If you agree, I will do it in Italian, or you want in English?
Maybe in English might be better, actually.
No, Greg, we are in Italy, sorry. Greg Parmley, Direttore di...
is the Managing Director of ILMC, which is the most important organization that gathers the major world promoters and analyzes the past, present, and future scenarios, and which gathers over all of us in the music, for music in London. Greg is not only managing director of ILMC, but he's also in charge of IQ magazine, which is information magazine, the most authoritative one on music on the sector. So, Greg.
What are you doing? And purtroppo non è potuto essere qui con noi because he was invited for the meeting where they are talking to. So, Greg, if you agree, can you give us some new news regarding the possible scenario that even yesterday, today, and tomorrow they will discuss in Brighton, and even the results of our last meeting in London, and even what you like to say, we are ready to hear. Thank you.
Sure, no problem at all. So yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for inviting me to speak today. I very much appreciate it. I wanted to sort of really, I think, Mr. Spera, you kind of asked me to sort of just kind of summarise the UK market a little bit, and also sort of talk a little bit about sort of some of the key, the key kind of trends within live music at the moment that we're seeing. So, I mean, the UK market, the UK live music industry as a whole, it's a very competitive market. There are sort of several kind of quite large promoting companies, lots of very sort of small independent promoting companies as well, and it's worth roughly, I think, €1 billion per year. Music tourism as well is a big thing for the Brits. I think we have over 500,000 tourists came to the UK in 2014 to see a show or to see a festival. Music tourism, I think, is worth about £3.1 billion alone in the UK, and the average spend, I think, per tourist is something like £750. So we have, I mean, the UK market specifically, there's a kind of a network of very well-equipped arenas and several stadiums as well. Meanwhile, I think there's something like 600 festivals in the UK as well, of various different sizes. So we have millions of Brits head to festivals every summer, which, given that the fact that the sun only shines for about 2 weeks in the UK, it's a very cruel pastime, but we seem to enjoy it. So that the live music business, it's obviously changed a lot in recent years. I think when I sort of first started out in the industry as a junior reporter many years ago, we were very much the poor second cousin of the recorded music sector. But it's certainly kind of flipped over now, and it seems that everybody wants to be in the live music industry, at least in the UK. So some of the topics that I think are cropping up at the convention here in Brighton over the next few days, and also some of the topics that we tend to talk about at the International Live Music Conference as well, is really where the live music industry is going. And I think I wanted to sort of pick out a couple of sort of key trends really that might be of interest or maybe worth considering about. Obviously I've not sort of been in the room for the rest of the conversations today. So.
Just a moment, Greg.
Okay.
The line may be not so. Okay. Go ahead.
How's that? Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me?
It's okay. Go.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I wanted to just pick out a couple of key trends really about the live music industry. So I think one thing that I think everybody can agree on is that the business is a lot more corporate now than it ever was before. So big multinationals like Live Nation, AG, or Eventim in Germany, I think increasingly to be in the live music game these days, you have to have much bigger pockets than ever. Because
we call you again, Greg. Cannot
yeah,
hear.
Sure.
Just a second. Scusate, ma i problemi tecnici.
Hello?
Okay, try now.
Okay, all right, great.
No. Same. You can switch off the video, maybe?
Yeah, I can do that. Hold on. No problem.
Okay.
Is that any better?
No.
It's a good connection from my side. I can hear and see everything okay. So
better live.
Any good?
Yeah. You try.
Okay. So I was just saying that I think to be in the live music game these days, you need very deep pockets. And as the industry grows, there'll be fewer and fewer companies with deep enough pockets to be in it. Another thing that I was thinking.
Greg.
Oh?
So it's still have a problem. So.
Okay.
If you have patience, maybe we have another discussion with Mr. George Perot, and we come back to you after we have given a solution to the technical problems. It's okay.
No problem at all.
I will I will pray for you. Gli facciamo un monumento a Greg. Poi. Grazie, Greg.
Grazie.
Sorry, Greg.
Yes. Allora, Greg. Yes. No.
Greg?
Grazie, Vincenzo.
Directly from Greece.
Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you, everyone, to still be here with us.
George Perot.
I won't be long. Yeah, I'm a little European product. My father's French from the south. My mother's Greek, and I'm here as a guy from the south. You know the situation in Greece, so I will actually, spare you speaking about the Greek market, because actually there's no Greek market, which is actually the case of Hungary, the case of Czech Republic, the case of so many countries. I'm putting my glasses because this is a new habit I didn't have before. Well, I say there is no market. This is the relativity of the situation in Europe. As my position as a Secretary General of the European Music Day Association, la Festa della Musica, che forse conoscete a Roma anche, I was very curious years before, because I'm on the other side of what Vincenzo is doing. I'm complementary to what Jens is doing. Let's say we are, with the Music Day, Festa della Musica, we are, let's say, trying to put grassroots talents, in the public sector, in the public audiences, so that actually not only the artists have an opportunity to be in contact with the sector, but also the audiences have an opportunity to discover, their local talents and their international talents. But when a few years ago we tried to understand what was going on in the music sector, first of all, I don't know if Jens and Didier and Signore Testini are agreeing, there was a first conflict. I'm speaking about 10 years ago. The music industry was only the recorded industry mostly, okay, and the rest didn't matter. Then you have, of course, the author rights, and some people spoke about live music sector. That was 10 years ago for the first time. And then today, as you all may know, the live sector is actually generating more than the recorded industry, especially if you put the ancillaries and the merchandising, the so-called food and beverage, etc., etc., etc. Another very important point is that actually yesterday we had the opportunity, thanks to Vincenzo, to speak with Jens and Didier about mapping the sector, because a lot of persons think that data is data, but mapping of the wider sector is an idea on which I really want to thank Vincenzo and all his team, because although Assomusica represents the producers and the promoters, they had the visionary thought to understand that if you don't sustain the youngest ones coming, tomorrow you won't have artists, and tomorrow you'll have another problem, which is you will all listen to American hip-hop, which I like very much, okay? You will all listen to, I don't know, American mainstream music, which is also very nice sometimes. But, okay, there's something else, okay? So I won't speak to you with the usual discourse we had in the European Union for ages, which is cultural diversity, but actually it was never about diversity. But I would like to make you a few very points, and I'll try to be as quick as possible. So I have to put out my glass again. When we try to make some statistics, and Mr. Michow here, Jens, and Didier have some numbers, on my point of view, that is the sector. Officially, when you try to find some numbers of the income of the music ticketing, mostly agree on 3.5 billion euros, okay? Where you look at the source of this 3.5, you see it's based only on 200 biggest festivals. So, luckily, mostly agree that it might be around 7 billion euros from ticketing. Then that's for the ticketing. But if you put all the events across Europe that also uses producers, promoters, and musicians, it might be that actually we have to understand that events like Festa della Musica or München Beer things, which are making a lot of events, do actually also engender a lot of audiences of trafficking on behalf of the music live events, which nobody, but really nobody, has no idea on what it means. So as a position on the Music Day Association, I will give you one figure from Greece to let you imagine what's going on in France, for example, with the Fête de la Musique, okay? In Greece, we found out last year, it was the first research, that with 100,000 euros, we generated 1.4 million income for the city. It's 14% multiplier effect, okay? Just to give you an idea, and that's for one day event. So imagine in France, where there are around 20,000 events in one day, what income is generated for the local communities. So this is a point where I will make a parenthesis afterwards. When we speak about cohesion at European level, when we speak about mobility at European level, when we speak about development through culture, the story is really, really long, and it's what we said to the lovely ladies from Cerved before. Eurostat estimates that at least 1 out of 3 Europeans is going to an event per year, meaning approximately from Eurostat 2015, 175 million Europeans are going at least once a year to a show. Then when you think, all of you who have children or all of you who are going out, that you might go at least 3 or 4 times yourself to an event per year, it's really securely that you can say that at least 1 billion spectators are going to live events somewhere across Europe annually. So it's huge. And this is much more than those 3.5 billion euros generated by ticketing. To finish with the numbers, we have no idea about how many people are doing music tourism around Europe. We have very few stats from the European Forum of Festivals, which says that at least 40 million Europeans are traveling in another country to go and see a live event. And finally, we tried to understand how many live venues were in Europe, including the 150 persons, still the big ones, and we estimate that there are around 200,000 venues that are producing a live event daily somewhere across Europe. So aside those numbers, my final contribution to this panel is the following. I will take the example of Trieste and the example of Glasgow, because for me what is very important, and that's my key issue about the music sector and not the music industry anymore, is the local development. Again, we spoke about that with those fantastic ladies from the Cerved, but I can tell you that when Vincenzo and his team, and especially also Paolo and Massimo, invited me a year and a half on the Nimpe project, which I guess somebody will tell you, because we have the luxury to be some of the few that's been elected by the Creative Europe to do an internalization program. We were invited by Signore, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, from Trieste, which, as you may know as Italians, used to be a very important city and have suffered, as many other across Europe, you know, from different problems, which made that the development was not sustainable anymore. So it was in 2011 that somebody told us that when Trieste was connected to Slovenia through a new autostrada, okay, suddenly a summer, some very important musicians came in Trieste, made some big concerts, and suddenly the city had so many tourists. It means the hotels were full, the restaurants were full, and all this thanks to the live music, okay? So it is definitely a tool for local development. It is indeed a fantastic sector because it's an art, but it's also a business. And the only way that European Union can step on us, and we can use them as well, is if we see this as a global approach. And I was really, and I'm closing with this, very happy to see that the president and his members, obviously, from Assomusica in Italy, thought about bringing other small countries which do not have unions, and not only to bring the music sector from the promoters, the producers, and the artist aspect, but to understand that to become a promoter, you need education. To become an artist, you need education. So if we don't educate the whole sector and the audiences, it's a half-done job. So to make a proper job, you have to see it as an ecosystem. So thank you, Mr. Spera, and I look forward to go ahead. Grazie.
Thank you very much, George. Maybe the line is Greg. We go back to Greg. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, young American. How are you tonight?
Okay. So am I coming through okay now?
It's perfect now. Okay, go ahead.
All right, fantastic. So, I mean, just to sort of to recap very briefly, I was just thinking about sort of points that are being raised at the Great Escape, and also points that, or kind of themes really that emerge at ILMC, and also within IQ magazine, which we publish. And I think looking sort of, you know, into the crystal ball, or looking ahead at the live music industry, there's maybe kind of a few things to consider. So one is, I think, the fact that the business is a lot more corporate now than it ever has been. You know, huge multinationals like Live Nation, AEG, or Eventim in Germany very much dominate the business. And I think to be in the live music game, you need very deep pockets. And as the industry grows, I think there will be fewer and fewer companies with deep enough pockets to be in it. And certainly with regards to the talks that have been going on recently in Brussels, and also I know in Rome yesterday, I think that, you know, as the industry becomes a lot more international and run by multinationals, that sort of need for support for new European talent becomes, you know, more important than ever. So a second point, that the business, I think, is now a lot more vertically aligned than ever. Live Nation, as an example, it's not just a concert and festival promoter. It also houses ticketing, management, sponsorship, and venues. These are all complementary strands revolving around the concert. AEG also owns venues around the world. They own Agis ticketing and festivals. And what started out by being called 360-degree models a few years ago, when labels started to ask for a share in all of artist income, is changed. So now I think it's much more about who can compete in the most amount of businesses relating to the artist, who has both the scale but also the most synergies. Third point, I think, is that, that live music will become a much smaller part of a much larger entertainment ecosystem. Excuse me. Within the ticketing sector, the last few months have seen Amazon begin to sell tickets. And this week, China's largest e-retailer, Alibaba, which is worth $14 billion and sells up to 3 million tickets per day, they're all getting into live event ticketing. Facebook has recently opened up to third-party ticket sellers, and YouTube is also one to watch as well. So 20 years ago, fans would buy their tickets from their local venue or a handful of very small dedicated ticketing companies. Tomorrow, I think the fans will buy tickets wherever they spend their time online. Live music is becoming a much bigger part of, is becoming a part of a much bigger ecosystem. Last year, US streaming service Pandora bought Ticketfly for $450 million. Spotify is integrated with Songkick. So all of these kind of these sort of large services coming together is happening. And looking ahead, I think live music will go where the fans are and not the other way around. The fourth point I wanted to sort of bring up to you guys was about festivals. Now I know that most of your fine countrymen and women would much rather drink cold, bad, instant coffee than sleep in a tent at a festival. But across Europe, festivals are huge. They're a huge business. And the festival scene it's not really just about music anymore. It's evolving into many other art forms as well, and about, you know, lifestyle and different elements of culture. I mean, looking at possible scenarios for live music as we are, I think as people become more trapped in their digital lives and they spend hours each day behind a screen or online, there's a primal need to get outside and hang out with people just like us. And I think this is you know, long term, it's a great thing for our business. My last point as well is that I think while the industry is getting bigger, and even new artists are being signed to global deals with multinational promoters, there will always be room for creativity and independence. Part of what I think makes the live music industry such a great industry to be in is that it constantly changes. There's always new artists, there's always new musical styles, and there's always new trends emerging. And alongside this point, last year, more people saw a concert than ever, more people went to a festival than ever before, and more revenue was generated by the business. So, if anything, I personally believe that there's more opportunity now for entrepreneurs than ever. But I think it's just a question of actually being aware that the landscape and the framework of the business is changing around that as well. And that was pretty much what I wanted to sort of say to you guys, and I hope that it's of interest.
Thank you very much, Greg. Your suggestions are really very interesting, and I am happy that you confirm what are my how to say, preoccupazioni. And I think that we have to work and we have to try to find out different solutions than the scenario you represent before. So if no one have a question to ask to Greg, do you have some question, Francesco? No. It's okay. So everybody, it's quite dead after your exposition, Greg. So I thank you very much for the Sonnifero. And Greg, I really thank you from my heart, and I hope to see you soon in Italy. Thank you very much for the time you have dedicated yesterday and today to us. Thank you. Bye, Greg.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.
Ciao. Now, Didier, it's your turn, so maybe quite difficult to go ahead.
Well, no, because if I'm here for, well, first of all, I mean, thank you for having me here.
Didier Zerath from French.
Yes, I came yesterday from Paris and love being in Rome, I must say. It's a wonderful city, it's a beautiful city. And if I'm here today is also to give you a few key figures about the French industry and the French live markets. I mean, even if I'm not going to be as specific as Nicla Ferrante was today in her survey, I'm going to give you a few key figures and some trends, some upcoming trends, and it will recoup probably what Jens and what we heard coming from London. Basically, if we look at the French key figures, I must say that we can safely say that about one French person out of three, so about 30%, have seen a concert last year. So it's about 33% of the French population attended a concert last year, which is basically 25 million people have visited a concert venue last year, which is quite massive. It's a big market. 55,000 concerts were organized in France, out of which generating at ticket level a turnover of 750 million euros, which is quite big. And that's only for ticketing. I mean, I'm not talking merchandising, I'm not talking anything else. So basically 750 million euro turnover for ticket sales, out of which 62% has been generated in value for venues with a capacity exceeding 1,500 spectators, which is quite big. The French live music market is stable, if not growing a little bit. Now, if you have a closer look at the figures, you'll see that basically the growth is generated by an increased offer in volume when, if you analyze each individual concert, it's a slight decrease in consumers attending those concerts. So basically, it's the increase of the global offer that is generating the growth of the market. Now, the weak points is, and it has already been addressed twice, it's a very weak presence of French promoters internationally. It's a very domestic market, and it's a very domestically organized market. It's a sector that is mainly organized around 4,000 companies. We have 4,000 companies in the live music industry. But only 5% of them reach a turnover of 5 million euro a year. So it's basically micro enterprises, very small companies, and we have 4,000 of them. To get back to what we just heard from the UK a minute ago, I mean, I would not be surprised if there is a consolidation going on in the years to come. I don't think that 4,000 companies will be able to survive in the French market according to the trends. The specificity of the French market is we have lots of venues spread all over the country, even if major cities lack venues with a big capacity, so we are lacking a little bit behind in that area. France is like the UK, is a very centralized country with about 20% of the French population living in or around Paris and being dependent on Paris. So there is a strong concentration of concerts in Paris, obviously, where you have anyway all the media. So if you want to do any promotion, it all happens in Paris. And the other specificity of the French market is there is a very strong support from the French government and public bodies who are subsidizing venues in France, who are subsidizing festivals, and with a sometimes interesting tax incentive program. The trends of the French market, I mean, and basically, again, I mean, you've heard it on and on today, coming from either Germany or Italy or the English market, is basically, if we look back at what happened, I mean, years ago, the way the industry was organized, it was centered around the recording process. Basically, an artist would record an album, promote the album, tour around the album. Those days are now gone. The French recording industry lost about 60% of its turnover since 2002 due to well-known factors. Again, as Jens said before, we're not going to talk about this today. The new center of gravity is obviously now the live music sector, with a certain numbers of questions that have been raised, that can be raised, which are namely artist development, which is very difficult to address with the live music sector, which needs to be addressed, because that's going to be a way of presenting new acts outside of festivals, obviously. As the recording industry has been deeply impacted by the crisis, it goes without saying that the live music industry has been affected as well, be it only for a reason that, and it has been mentioned, number one, we have the appearance of what we call 360 degrees contracts now, where major record companies are putting a foothold into the live, are now recording, publishing live music activities, sponsorship, merchandising, etc., etc. So it becomes a more and more competitive market. International, global actors being positioned all along the value chain of the live music sectors, from ticketing to owning venues and to concert production, if not music production and publishing, and etc., etc., being organized or reorganized around 360 degrees contracts. An in-depth modification of relationship between music producers and the live music sector. We mentioned it with my friend Jens yesterday, and that's the disappearing of tour support, for example. The recording industry does not support anymore, when it's not within a 360-degree contract, but does not support anymore the live music industry. Costs are increasing, and the increasing of costs is not necessarily reflected in the pricing structure of the tickets sold to the audience, which means the margins of the promoters are affected as well, which is an important point that needs to be raised. We have an audience that is now globalized and that is traveling, and you heard the numbers about the tourism that it generates in the UK, and I'm sure that if you look at the German market, probably lots of French people are traveling to Germany to see shows and festivals, and this trend of globalization will have to be followed by the promoters as well. I'm not going to talk about the ticketing issue, as I think that Jens has very nicely spoken about it and detailed the issues. Basically, what we also see, and that has not been mentioned so far, is that if the young audience is favoring festivals, the ones going to the venues and buying tickets for the one-off concerts is an older growing population than it used to be before. Those are the few words I wanted to say about the French market and about the tendency and the major new trends that we're witnessing. So as you see, it's nothing original. We have lots in common with Italy, lots in common with England or with Germany or with Greece. And basically, one of the reasons we're all here together is that we will find solutions together. I mean, the Germans will not find solutions on their own, neither will the UK or nor will the French. I mean, we need to work together on this because it's a global market, it's a global economy. Our domestic markets are shrinking. We need to set up a strong pan-European market, single market, and that's what we're here for. Thank you very much.
Grazie. Thank you very much, Didier. Prima di passare al rush
Before I
finale,
leave the floor to Mario Lavezzi and Onorevole Rampi, and there is our person that will be interviewed, I would like to leave the floor to Carlo Testini, who will provide us with scenario, will provide us with an overview of the work, dirty work, the dirty job behind and before becoming a big shot. Well, first of all, I would like to thank Assomusica and Vincenzo because now we've had the opportunity to discuss all these things for some time on different occasions, and it's important that Assomusica decided to address these issues together with the whole world of live music. The survey that you carried out with Cerved is very interesting, but I don't know whether the data includes associations like Arci, which are non-profit organizations. Probably they're not included. And this music system, as we were saying, this music system is even more articulated and capillary than in other countries because there is a non-profit sector dealing with live music, involved in live music, which is really very interesting. And I must say that what we often underline with Vincenzo is that this world that is a world where we are making probably tests. We do scouting job. Probably in the audience there will be someone who went through it to organize concerts. Anyway, this is now a world in which it's difficult to work. Yes, we know the issues, the increase in ticketing, the increase in number of important concerts or major concerts. All this seems to go against the problems encountered by the organization of small concerts locally. And in this event, we try to promote cultural diversity, which sometimes is not found in talent shows or something like that. So I'm happy to be part of this discussion because in this way we can bring together all the stakeholders of the live music of this country. We know that there are problems. Certainly, one important point that should be taken into account is cities. Well, unlikely France, differently from France, in Italy, we have many middle-sized cities, so we have many poles of culture, of music, and the role of cities is extraordinarily important, the role played by cities, because what we say is that our work, our job tends to lead to territorial development. That is a political territorial development.
And I would like to set up with Assomusica an observatory of good practices of cities, because some cities work very well, others work less well. And it's not only a question of what part of the budget or the budget is used to support festivals, but it's rather the approach of local authorities to organize live music events. And I think that this renewed interest of Ministry of Cultural Heritage for all types of music, certainly there is an interest on behalf of the ministry to support us. It's important also to work with the Ministry for Economic Development, and it would be important to cooperate with foreign ministry and the different authorities that and institutions that help us abroad. Certainly, a new CI approach is also helping us to understand what the problems are. Now we are working with General Directorate to understand the problems. And I think that the synergy, the work, the cooperation with CIA will be very important to improve the system. Certainly, what is being done at the European Commission, the work at European Commission is very important. We have many projects, not necessarily on live music, but projects for dialogue between cultures and cultural promotion. We work a lot with the Mediterranean basin, and we think that the Mediterranean area, because this is an area which certainly gives birth to many artists. And certainly many artists will be interested in taking part in the concerts on the other side of the Mediterranean. Actually, Italy is lagging behind, while France did a great job on this without making any names of festivals. I must say that Italy is lagging behind, and we neglected a type of music which instead it would be important to to support folk music, Italian folk music. And I would like to close by saying that, of course, it's very important to have legislation on live music. Unfortunately, many people have been working on it for a long, long time. And actually, yes, with Veltroni, we started with Veltroni maybe more than 20 years ago. And certainly there is a renewed interest of some MPs, and we have set up a group for the music. And today we have Onorevole Rampi, who is here and is part of that committee. But it's, setting up legislation on live music is not easy. We are certainly working to achieve this, although we should also consider consider other pieces of legislation that still may help the music sector. And I close by saying that the European dimension today is an important dimension. And because in Europe we have many players who network. I don't know if you've ever heard of SMART, which is kind of association of artists that was it's a cooperative that was established in Belgium, but it actually it provides for all the welfare tools to assist and support artists, but it has now a European dimension because you have practice sharing. You can exchange the good practices. And I think that this shows that we have taken the right way. And today, now with Assomusica, with MPs and maybe the EU, we should kind of speed up our this process. Thank you, Carlo. And I would kindly ask Mario Lavezzi, Carlo, to come to the podium, and Roberto Rampi, who is he works night and day for the music, but he decided and he accepted to support me in the conclusions.
Grazie ancora Carlo.
Thank you, Carlo. Thank you for this sort of observatory that you proposed, and for continuing with the SMART project. We have been having a long relationship with them, and we also work together in Brussels. So we really appreciate this suggestion. So, Carlo, I mentioned at the beginning the famous letter that you found in your drawer to say that everything is changing except the law on music, which is not there, still not there. So I would like to give you the floor. Mario could start, and I thank him very much for being here with us, especially, how should I say, for his cross-sectoral experience and the multiple hats that he usually wears in the sector of music. So I hope you can really give your important contribution to us today. I am really so happy to read the document that you drafted, because I wanted to really say something about law on music. Mr. Rampi, MP Rampi, if you could really give us a law that we have been working for 20 years. I remember Minister Veltroni used to be at that time, he was then Ministry of Culture, invited the whole sector, Baglioni, De Gregori, Mannoia, all the Italian singers, and I was there as well, and also all the companies and the operators of the sectors, all the players, and he and you were there. Well, you remember this episode. And we were promised that the law on music would be passed at Parliament level. 20 years, if not more, have elapsed since then. Then I had several governments with which I worked, and Santanché also said that she wanted to promote this law. Nothing happened. Later on, 3-4 years ago, during a meeting at the Cultural Commission of the European Union, of the Chamber of Deputies, and I was there with Mogol, Gabriele Carlucci came to me and showed me the text of law on music. Nothing happened. So, my dear MP, as a musician, as an author, as a producer, I would love someone to give us a law on music that could regulate the whole sector, so that we can't have, continuous changes. For instance, the cancellation of copyrights in venues where, so they're not paying the copyright if there are less than 100 people. So they say you're not paying the CI fee. I don't call it CI fee. I call it a copyright. So if a band sings in a small venue and they sing only their songs, they won't get any money. As a major author, won't receive anything. So this copyright cannot be alienated, cannot be denied. I organize charity parties. So Ferrari organized a meeting to collect money for some cancer, and they pay a fee. How much is paid? Of course, this can be questioned, but if we don't pay copyrights, why do you pay the energy bill for these charities? Well, it's an amendment that has to be submitted by the government and is it should be in line with the European directive regulating collecting. So what do you want to have from a viewpoint of an artist? Because you know the viewpoint of author, producer, and performer, the artist who sings his songs. So what is missing? What should be entailed in the music law? Well, there is no regulation. There's not one thing missing. Everything is missing. But in France, for instance, the French law envisages that if a musician is not producing anything for a certain period, he or she gets some money. So in Italy, we do not have it. We are considered traveling circus performers. Well, with the Music Federation, we are fighting a battle to recognize the profession of author. In my identity card, I am defined as a musician. I'm an author. And so I paid my pension being a singer, a producer, but not an author. But don't you think that the artist is not represented because of different reasons? Trade unions have been fighting with Limaye. No, don't speak about Limaye. I'm sorry, otherwise I'll walk away. No, but from that viewpoint, being represented, so having trade unions, can really be important. So the specific weight of artists in the world of music was relative because you didn't have the tools to have a say. Well, we lacked cohesion. We were not united. We were not acting as a single body. And we don't have it within CI. New elections are on the horizon. What could be the interest of an author and who is different from another author? No difference. CI is collecting the fees and redistributing. Last meeting, we had two electoral groups fighting against each other. Why? Because of individualism. You wanted to sit in a sort of so to be elected, so to get a chair, let's say, and there were boards that were set up to pay the presence or attendance fee. So everybody wanted to have a chair, to have the fee, the attendance fee. I go to several meetings. I don't get a penny. and I'm meeting regularly, twice a month. And if I have traveling expenses that are too high, I have to pay part of them. In the past, the members of the board were more numerous. Now we have reduced the number, but we have a lot of boards. Okay, but switching to another thing, what do you think of the alternative collecting systems? Thanks to the European directive, well, sorry, can I finish saying something about cohesion that we lack? We should be all united, musicians and authors, especially authors within CI, to fight against Google, YouTube, all the external world that is trying to make profit out of our richness as authors. So I launch an appeal to all colleagues. We have to be united to fight against those who are attacking us and not fight each other. And the same appeal is launched to musicians. Musicians should unite their forces. I remember that in the past there was a trade union that tried to unite them. I would love to have a trade union supporting us. But we have the lawmaker with us that can really overcome the problem of when can we ask question? Do we have time for question? This was just my humble question. I would like to ask a question. Okay, but as we spoke of CI, and it's clear, it's a fact, at the moment there is a possibility to have different competitors on the market in terms of fee collection. FedEx decided to go to Sunreef, etc. So, plus and minuses in the collection world. Well, competition is good, but SACEM is the only one collecting. GEMA is the only collector. Just to mention two, there must be a reason. There are only two. I would like to see the negotiation for fee live music with Skype or Rai. Think how wonderful it would be. Dividi et impera. Only those who exploit the content are going to dominate the sector, because we treat Morricone repertoire, and there are others who use it in a different way, and we both have to pay the price for this. Yes, the negotiating power of artists is not strong enough. So there is a speculation. I don't think that FedEx accepted the negotiation. This is what I assume. I don't know. And these are complex structure. Yes, as far as I know, they keep 50% of the collected money. CI keeps 16%. So you have to explain it to me, how convenient, how good it is for us. I would like to give the floor to Francesco Prisco and then Claudio Trotta. I promise not to speak of CI and copyrights, because I don't like to discuss about division. I want to speak only about union. And I think that this is very much discussed, but not discussed properly. I am an author, and I didn't get any money in the last few years, okay. But the problem is there. We're not discussing how to make more money for authors or but paying in order to use authors' right. But we had such a nice day today, and I don't want to speak about clashes and division. This is what happens. What is more important today in the discussion is to discuss why musicians or authors should not be professionally acknowledged, why Battiato or Caterina Caselli should have contracts with a different professional denomination. So let's fight for our rights and let's be united in order to fight and get something for our sector. Sorry, I want to apologize and say something. A musician today is also author in most of the cases. Sorry. But we cannot be divided. We have to be united. We have to consider musician author as one single professional profile. Well, I wanted to discuss some elements. As an external observer, I don't like to speak about Soundriff, and there is no one representing the interest of Soundriff here. Because it's not true that they take 50%. They take 50% for music played in, so background music in the with the playlist service. Otherwise, they get 26% in pubs, etc., which is higher than CI, but it's not 50%, as you said. So this 50% is the interest paid, but we should not discuss it without the company being represented. They asked me a question and I answered. No, the question is that he is member of CI, so how CI in a changing world where there are different people collecting copyrights, what is the perception of an artist of the changing scenario? Yes, you asked a question to the artist, but then he answered with the head of a CI member. So this is what I challenge. So please, let's give floor to a question. My question was about this. There are two comments to make. First, about amendments. Shows with a maximum of 100 people. I don't think this is really a scandal, because there is something we have to say. Copyright fees are paid on a lump sum approach most of the time. When are we going to overcome this lump sum payment of copyright fees? Well, you're not paid on a lump sum. Well, not totally, but a part. No, there is only a part. But if we start this topic, then we can stay here for years. No, I don't want to start this conversation. Let's organize another Congress. We have to be smart enough. I don't want to be unpleasant, however, and rude. No microphone.
No mic. Unfortunately, we cannot translate because we cannot hear. The fact that we did not comply with a European directive for the nth time, because this is still another time when our country, whatever the government was, we did not comply with the directive. I would like to know whether Rampi knows how much it cost. And Minister Franceschini clearly said that it is. Minister Franceschini said that he's against the wealth of companies that take the royalty fees, the copyright fees, they collect copyright fees. And then CI said that, okay, CI has changed and so on and so forth. But basically, I think because then why CI will not pay under 30, 40 tickets, I don't know how much. I think that this is, there is municipal bylaws or regulation because 99% of cases it will be higher than what is produced. So that's why, Mario, it is not against the authors, but it is to protect the authors because with this damn system that is currently in force in our country, we have, of course, we are favoring covered hand and triple bands, which prevented generation change. And because it's time for people like me to go out, but it's time for singers like Morandi or Baglioni to leave, and we need new people, but these new people are not helped because there is no legislation helping the new talents or helping new promoters because all the draft legislation was awful, was really stupid legislation. Please. I do not curse, but if I want to use bad words, dirty words, I will say the dirty words. The draft legislation was meaningless and was mix and match, and it was crazy to regulate that in radios. We should have over 50% of Italian music, and I can say that 90% is broadcast by radios, and most of that Italian music is awful. And CIA certainly has changed, but this gentleman in 1996 had the guts and the intelligence of setting up an association, something that artists did not have such a chance. Why? Because actually it's not work for them, because they're trying to make as many profits as possible to earn money to the detriment of the audience with this stupid secondary ticketing, and no artists said any words on that, and with this ticketing, which is a real swindle, this ticketing system. So I do hope that the new legislation will regulate live music, and a legislation which includes everything is not useful. And we are abiding by laws of building yards, discos, or whatever. And we are a trade. We are an important category. And now with the death of record industry, so we are the core of the we are the main actor, and we must be respected by singers, politicians, and everything, and we cannot tolerate it any longer. Okay, yes, I agree with what you said. Yes, the copyright is inalienable right. We can review the fees. Yes, we are working on that. We are working on that in the music committee to work in favor of small companies. I would like to say something. Oh, there is another question there.
Posso dire solo un'osservazione a quanto ha detto Trotta?
I would like to make a remark at this point. You have included artists in the group. You criticized all categories, but if you don't have artists, you don't have live music. No, without audience, you don't have live music. This is the main difference. Yes, but without artists, without people paying the ticket for the ticket. It doesn't make sense to have an artist on the stage. Yes, but they buy tickets because there is an artist.
Artisti bravi.
They pay the ticket because they know that there will be the performance of a good artist.
Claudio, però
there are things that do not work. Okay, Claudio, thank you very much, but you must lay the responsibility on your colleagues. Yes, of course. You cannot blame the artists only. That's right. Okay. I think that we can move on to the conclusions, and at this point I would like to leave the floor to Onorevole Rampi. I would like to thank you, personally thank you. I admire him. I don't understand why he does that. And
ho avuto modo di incontrare persone.
My experience, I had a chance to meet people in institutions, offices, in meetings, and sometimes I wondered why are they working until 10 p.m. on this Rampi or Ferrara or whoever, far away from their families. They come to Bologna on Saturday night, or they go to Caltanissetta to discuss issues, these issues. And there is a group, a mixed group, a group of MPs from Senate and Chamber of Deputies supporting us. And we welcome this initiative, and these are people who believe in this sector, who believe in our work, because they certainly have gone through the experience of being a part of the audience, or sometimes musicians, probably, or performers themselves. So let's try not to go against them. Okay, I leave you the floor. I hope you will give us good news. I hope I will give you some good news, but I would like to start from the following point. And then I will come to the to Trotta's question. Well, in my personal history, I've crossed this world. First, I established an association to organize concerts. I've never played an instrument, and probably I would have never been part of the audience of the concerts that I was organizing. But I established that association because I wanted to meet the needs of young people who wanted to play. I think that probably none of those guys has become a big shot, a great artist. But at that time in their life, at that point in their life, they were trying to express themselves through music. So it was a way it was a way to stay together. So with the excuse of listening to someone playing, but the reason was to stay together. And the reason why politics must deal with music and culture is this. And then, of course, this is an important economic sector. Related activities are important, certainly, but these are secondary reasons. There are important reasons. I mean, they are reasons that certainly can support us. But basically, we can say that culture is a priority in Italy and in Europe. I'm very happy. I'm very happy for this for the organization of this meeting, because this meeting was organized as a European meeting. We listened to different stakeholders and players. So we are Europe. Europe is not forcing directives upon us, because we are Europe. All together, we are Europe. And this is the context within which we live. And we have to live, fortunately, not unfortunately. Sometimes we see it as an obligation. And this is even more true in this case, in this field, where artists, not today, but all the time, where artists have always interacted with one another. Art is the place where borders don't make sense, where cultural differences have positive effects and positive results. Our young people don't want to, will not list a song, or will not think of a song based on the country where it is produced, or the language in which it is sung. So today, you did something great, because the idea of Europe Music and Ventotene might be a very ambitious project we can think about in the next few days. For around 20 years, we've heard of this attempt to enact legislation on music. I worked in an agency as a promoter. I was a university student at that time, and then I was alderman or secretary for municipal secretary for cultural policy. So I saw it from a different viewpoint, from the viewpoint of the organizer. What is the difference today? I don't want to bore you with political issues. Reform of decision-making process might be one of the reasons why today we don't have a legislation, because the Carlucci De Biasi legislation has never been approved, and so it's now. It takes time to approve a legislation. We have few parliament, so in few legislatures that came to the term. And I think that what is important is awareness. There is growing awareness of the need for this legislation, but I think that there is a poor awareness and knowledge of this sector. So I will ask you to provide me with data of this survey. And I am a rather mild and smiling person, but when I hear the topic of copyright at the Chamber of Deputies, I'm shocked, because they say things that have nothing to do with what happens in real life. But the amendment doesn't say that the copyright is no longer recognized, but there might be an exemption threshold where you recognize the copyright, but you say that the value will not be paid, in that case, will not be paid by the organizer. And I personally supported the principle in the chamber, and I was not, of course, I did not have the agreement of other MPs. We're not speaking of a tax to pay, and we should wonder why many citizens think that we are speaking of a tax to pay. And I'm happy to hear what CI is doing and its campaign, because we must convince young people, above all, that they're not paying a tax, but if there was no copyright, they wouldn't have anything to listen to, or they might, if there was no copyright, then there wouldn't be an author, there wouldn't be a content, and nothing to listen to. But this is a cultural battle that we have to make, that we have to win, and that the artists should engage. Oh, no, I would just like to tell you something. There is an initiative with the Ministry of Justice and Public Education to involve schools, elementary schools, primary schools, and junior high schools. And there has been a meeting. There was a meeting 1 week ago, and there were 5 or 6 schools to start generating this type of culture, and so there is this initiative. Yes, and in the Law 107, the legislation on school, there is one provision that establishes that in students' curricula, cinema, live shows, and live music is envisaged. So these are subject matters that are provided for and that are included in the curricula. I would like to say something because without data, maybe you may be misled. So there are European financing funds that do this. Last year, we asked CI to participate together with the Ministry of Cultural Heritage and to participate in a European project, and CI did not give any answer so far. Has not given an answer. But now, the point is, why can we make it? Why are we close to the finishing line? Well, I filed a little text recently. In the past few days, I thought I would not file it, but I wanted to, yes, to gather the appeal that you made. It will be public, it will be published in the next few hours, it will be online. It's a short text that will be very useful in this respect. That is, I wrote this text because now there is an ongoing discussion on a draft law connected with stability, which will envisage a discussion, and this is cinema and live show. The part on live show is minimal, and we obtained that, and I can officially say I agreed, it was agreed that there will be separation of the two texts. So the part on cinema will be approved by the Senate in a few weeks, and then approved by the Chamber of Deputies. So probably will become a piece of legislation by early summer, while the part on live music, for this part, it will take longer. And this will be an opportunity to introduce all the elements that we are discussing. That is, the point is that we have to so we should not consider music as a theme or as an issue of public order and security, because when the legislation was enacted, it was thought that the music was an opportunity of aggregation with subversive intent. Sorry. But I think that this is concern that is no longer the case. This is no longer the case, and therefore we should think of live music. Live music is a sector, is an activity, first of all, an economic activity that should be supported, but that should be paid attention because it has a positive effect. So the entrepreneur who decides, instead of making all possible productions, the entrepreneur decides to bet his life to bet on his life to produce a live show. It's this entrepreneur, this firm is doing something that has a public, social, and political function. And the government should make his life easier and recognize this activity, because beforehand we were speaking of tax incentives and in the cinema business. Certainly, we already have tax credits. Why does the government say, I will give you a tax credit? Because I say you have already paid the taxes, part of your taxes, because your job has a public function. This is the reason why a tax credit is recognized, and this is something that should be recognized also in the world of live music and live shows. And I think that we're really we are close to the finishing line, as I said, and I think that this is the great news. But let's come to the directive. What we approved allowed us not to breach or the directive and to comply with the directive instead, because there is now a possibility in Europe to choose which subject to entrust our inalienable right or copyright. So we have established some modalities, grasping the opportunity and giving empowering the government, empowering the government. We could have made it more simple. We could have approved it as such, but we had a discussion and there were different opinions, and finally we decided in this way. I think that this is a good result, and I believe that this will prevent us from being punished. And sorry. Yes, I didn't ask you that question. Yes, because this is a question that we were discussing. We've been discussing for a long time. I want to keep both things together. That is of course, torts that are no longer considered crimes. Well, this is practically this is a way to avoid criminal proceedings for a tort, and this culture is. Well, when we try to simplify live shows up to 200 people, as we did the 1 year ago, when it was necessary to just give notice and not permission or clearance, but we spent the whole night with the with the Home Office, because there are parts of the ministry who are afraid of losing their control on these live shows. But of course, they have done everything to be compliant with all possible regulations and rules. Well, if you, of course, if you have a concert a live concert in a square, you must make sure that that venue is in compliance or is compliant with the laws. Anyway, now there are technical elements that suggest that we can make it. I would say we can make it by the end of the year, and because this is connected with stability, and stability will last 1 year. Maybe it may be more than it will maybe be enacted early next year. But anyway, this is an effort that is to be appreciated. And we have, and here, let me tell you something as a former player in the sector, because I'm a politician now, I'm not a technician, and I believe in the specific competence of each sector and politics. In politics, there is competence, there must be competence. But remembering my activity, that shaped my approach, that helped me work in other sectors. I can say that if we are divided on solutions, then of course. Then, as a result of that, there will be an excuse for others to decide. So, certainly, policy and politicians will have to decide, and the music sector will be faced with amendments, and we'll have to find an agreement, because other sectors are used to do that, and then they get results. Now, there is a train that we can't miss, and I'm saying that this is a fundamental train for this country, and for the reasons that I mentioned previously. That is from the viewpoint of Italian economy, Italian tourism, and so on and so forth. And certainly this role that should be played by Italy is being recognized by foreign people, because usually foreign people look at us differently or better than the way we look at ourselves. But we have to be united, and we should try and work together consistently. I think that the conditions are set. The Pact for Music in Milan was remembered before, was recalled before, and this is an example of how many sectors work together. with the occasion of the Universal Exposition exhibition, the Expo, and this must be the rule. There must be the rule for the whole country. And we are committed. We take this commitment, and I don't speak for myself, but on behalf of the colleagues who have worked with me.
Vincenzo, I want you to say something and then ask a question to Roberto. I'm very happy that we have this bill, good news, and also that you spoke about silence. When I won the lawsuit at San Siro, well, I said to the judge that if the same thing happens, I'm continuing to play, because the right of the people who pay the ticket are the same right of those who live in the area. So we never face the opposite right, so disturb the peace or listening to a concert appropriately. We always speak about noise and not sound. Noise are buses, building yard, or when they collect trash in the late at night, or youngsters that make noise outside pubs at night, or even those who are not so young, but young at heart. So I would like to know whether in your bill there is something about it, because the concrete result in my victory is that ever since, if you pay, you can organize shows at the San Siro till 12:30 at night. We used to be authorized to play early till 11 p.m. Well, I was acting as an alderman in a small municipality, and after my adventure there, I have created a good venue where we can have good music for spectators, for audience, and quiet and peace at night for people living around that venue. So there are technological solutions that enable us to have both. So you can have nice music, a good level of music, and no noise. Sometimes the noise is not the music, but the back sound, which is not music, but just noise. And with this, I demonstrated that I know the technical problems. Before we close, I would give the floor to Mario again. I thank you very much for this Congress and for having been invited, because we speak about the law of music, which is so important. It's an appeal. We have been speaking about music culture, but not folks music. I think that the folks culture is a music, and it's not, should not be called folks music, but a cultural heritage. So it's something different. The music School of Milan called me because we want to really blend the two aspects. So we don't want to speak about folks music, but cultural music and culture. We had a coffee break, but I wanted to understand how and when we had to stop and how long we could continue our discussion. So we have to understand that we have to communicate, and not only verbally, but also looking at the feelings, intentions, sensation, emotions of people with us. So we now have a coffee break. We had other two topics, but I'll give you only the title. Assomusica, after this year, was awarded a first European call for tender for the diffusion of good practices. So we participate as members of a small network of countries. We are the at the head of this network, and so we want to internationalize good practices, and this is the name of the project. Second piece of news. A network of 25 countries will be presented in Cannes in June, next month of June. And as Assomusica, we will be tomorrow here and meet again. I would like to thank all of you who stayed with us, and I hope that the good conditions will still be there so that the decision makers will take the right decision, but without us, they can't take any decision. Thank you.